Well, friends, I was really hoping not to make this kind of video because I'm generally really positive and want to talk about great features and things that I do myself with my money. But at the same time, I do believe in full transparency and also talk about the things that I used to use and why I maybe stopped using them. And one of them is actually Trade Republic, which I know some of you might be watching, have never heard of and never planned to use. And if you don't, then you can click off this video and check some of my other videos. But if you are using Trade Republic or heard about them and potentially consider using them, as I did myself, then I think you should really watch this video because there's really something important that you should know that I previously didn't know myself. Otherwise, I would have never used them in the first place. And actually, not so long ago, I made a whole video about why I'm leaving Trade Republic. Well, as a matter of fact, that wasn't by choice, but they closed my account, which still, weeks later, I have no idea why they closed it and they haven't gotten back to my various messages that I sent them. And even after the video, I thought they maybe come back to me, but who knows? Whatever it is, they may have their reasons. Would have been nice to know them, but it is what it is. I closed my account now and that's that, right? I moved all my money. I never actually invested stocks over there, but I had quite a bit of cash sitting over there because they paid a nice juicy interest in the past. Plus the card is actually really still very good. You can get some save back every time you spend it, but more importantly, you get ATM free withdrawals globally over 100 euros, which is really very nice. Not many cards actually offering this these days. So apart from that, honestly, I'm not too sad because I think there are many other brokers out there, but I know that in Europe, they are quite strong. However, you need to keep one thing in mind, which my wife and I really now dealing with because it was really unpleasant surprise that you don't actually know about until you're in that situation. So I want to warn you to just keep it in mind, right? You know, obviously it's a German licensed bank. There's really nothing wrong with the broker as such. You know, your money is protected up to 100,000 euros. And really, I mean, I cannot say anything about the app experience itself. But the one thing that you will not read anywhere is actually the problem that you will have once you maybe one day move the country to another country where Trade Republic is not available, or you just want to change the broker and move it to another stockbroker, which they do allow you. The problem is, which I did not know, because when I read this on the website, that they will allow you to transfer your securities or shares to another broker, I saw that and I thought, well, that's really good, right? Makes it really easy, no problem at all. And yeah, I felt comfortable with it, even though again, I didn't invest with them, but my wife did quite a bit, was on Trade Republic and still is. And we're dealing with the situation right now. So they actually ask her as well to close her account for whatever reason. We still have no idea if that's due to the fact that we moved the country. Would have been nice to know, at least give us a heads up. And plus, we never informed them. So it's kind of weird how they would figure that out. But be it as it may, again, I addressed it in the other video. But here I really want to talk about the limiting factor of why you cannot actually transfer your shares to many other brokers. And the problem is exactly this over here, that basically Trade Republic does all their trading on the stock exchange called Lang and Schwarz Exchange, which is basically in Hamburg, Germany. And that's just like any other exchange, right? You have the Frankfurt Stock Exchange, you have in Paris, in London, the New York Stock Exchange, Nasdaq Exchange. So there are obviously a lot of different exchanges around the world and a lot of them offering similar stocks and ETFs, right? So you can, for example, trade Coca-Cola on a German stock exchange, but you could also trade it on an American stock exchange in a different currency, right? So that's the beauty of having different choices. However, the problem comes when you want to transfer your security, your stock or ETF that is available on Trade Republic that you bought over there, and it is also available in another broker, right? I use a number of brokers myself, so I thought, well, it would be very easy to transfer them to that new broker. Well, that's exactly where the problem is, because unfortunately, unless it's listed on the same stock exchange, it is not possible. And I didn't think about that before. And I'm a little bit upset with myself to not see that before. But that's why I want to make this video, not to bash Trade Republic, right? I mean, that's their choice to choose the stock exchange. But this particular stock exchange in Hamburg is just not very popular. Like all the big brokers that I know, at least, such as Interactive Brokers, Trading 212, even eToro and others, they're not using Hamburg as a stock exchange. It's quite rare to use Hamburg, I would say. I mean, again, from all the brokers I use, none of them are using Hamburg as far as I'm aware. And that exactly is the limiting factor, that you cannot transfer it from Hamburg to another stock exchange. If a particular stock, let's say Tesla, was listed in Frankfurt and bought through Trade Republic, I could easily transfer those shares to Trading 212 or Interactive Brokers, no problem at all. But since they buy it in Hamburg, I'm really limited with that and basically would have to find another stockbroker that also buys it in Hamburg. And if you talk about global stockbrokers, well, honestly, so far I haven't found anyone that is suitable. And well, that presents a huge problem because my wife actually has a real sizable portfolio over there with some major gains. We're talking about 5-figure gains she made in profits, which is great for her, right? Smart investing. I wonder where she got her advice from. Now, The problem is, because they're closing her account, she actually has to sell these shares. And that's obviously a taxable event as well. And then plus she would have to rebuy them at a new broker. It's just really, really cumbersome. And I just wish that would have been raised somewhere beforehand, but nobody knew that. So I hope that video will help you to avoid such a problem in the future yourself. And be very mindful when you make a decision of which broker to go with. That's why I'm a big fan of going with a global broker where I can diversify. The broker can move with me, right? For example, Interactive Brokers, I moved myself from Lithuania to the UAE. I told them I'm moving and they did the internal portfolio transfer and it was done easy without having to sell any of my shares. The same with eToro. You can move your account with you if you move around in the future. And I like that because you just never know, right? Maybe right now you have no intention of moving anywhere, but life is so unpredictable. What will happen in 10, 20 years from now? Maybe one day you will want to live in another country, right? And if you then can't transfer your shares out of Trade Republic, well, you're going to be stuck with them, or you have to sell, pay the heavy tax on that most likely if you're living in any of those countries where they're operating, and that would just be quite painful. And well, just to confirm to you that this is actually true, not just me coming up with something, but I asked both Interactive Brokers and Trading 212 if that's really indeed the case. And as they wrote over here, unfortunately, if an instrument is currently not part of our supported list, we are unable to facilitate a stock transfer for it. And that's exactly the problem. Technically, they could include them, right? You could do the transfer. Trade Republic supports sending shares to another broker. Trading 212 recently also started introducing incoming share transfers and outgoing, which is really great. That's always important to have that. So you can just go ahead here, click on start, and then obviously select your broker of choice. And it's a bit misleading, right? Because you see here Trade Republic. So I thought it would be straightforward. But again, once you put your account number and they will ask you for the stocks that you want to transfer or ETF, and then you have to list the stock exchange. And well, that's not listed over here, so you can't do the transfer. And that's just such a shame. And yeah, as I said, I haven't heard anyone else talking about this. And the same actually on Interactive Brokers, which I thought would support such a transfer. And by the way, wow, they've redone the dashboard. Maybe I should do an updated tutorial on Interactive Brokers because it looks a bit cleaner here. I like some of the changes, very nice. But anyhow, be it as it may, technically you are allowed to transfer your positions into Interactive Brokers. Basically, all you do is click on transfer and pay over here, transfer positions. It would pull it up. And then from here, basically you click on incoming transfer as it shows over here. Obviously you want to send it into Interactive Brokers. You select the region over here. In this case, all other regions. Go ahead, click on free payment of transfer of global securities. And you see here also listed Trade Republic. So technically it's also available, right? So you could go ahead and transfer your shares and ETFs. However, if you continue to the next screen, once again, you have to say which assets over here, add asset, and then you have to list obviously what it is. Let's say it's a stock, right? And you need to put a symbol and then the exchange. And here, once again, the exchange is just not available inside of Interactive Brokers, unfortunately. For example, if you were to buy the VUSA ETF, right, which is one of the most popular ETFs in Europe for European investors, well, you only have 3 stock exchanges where it's listed. EBS, I believe that's Switzerland, LSE, that's in London, and AEB, that's Amsterdam and Netherlands. So nothing mentioned over here. Same with SPY5, the one I'm buying. Now we have instead IBIS 2, which is in Frankfurt, but no mention anywhere of Hamburg, unfortunately. And I looked across all the various stock markets that they have, and well, you see over here, none of them mentions Hamburg. You see here the ticker symbols, and well, they're not reflecting Hamburg anywhere. And well, of course, I also double checked that with their support, and they also said to me, if Lang and Schwarz Exchange is not directly supported, the transfer may not be possible for securities exclusively listed there. So yeah, obviously they keep it a bit vague. Surprisingly that they said if it's not supported, because it's not supported, right? It's not mentioned anywhere. I looked all over if IBKR supports Lang and Schwarz, but they don't. I don't seem to see that anywhere. So therefore, you're not able to transfer here as well. So yeah, guys, it's really unfortunate. And once again, I don't like to make these kind of videos. Ultimately, I'm here to spread positivity and investing advice. But I think that's a real fundamental truth that we should be knowing before we invest our money. I know quite a few influencers out there. They're pushing Trade Republic, which with all due respect, right? There's nothing wrong with that. I also have affiliate links for other brokers. But I think it's important to also mention those kind of points because you're almost locked into an ecosystem where it's hard to get out, especially the longer you invest there. Eventually, you're not going to be able to withdraw your funds. And that's something to really consider and keep in mind. So hopefully that will be helpful when making your decision of which broker to go with going forward. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, give it a like. Helps it to be seen by more people. Next up, check out this video over here. As always, thanks a lot for watching. Stay healthy, get wealthy, and to see you in the next one. Ciao.